Alright, so in today's lesson, I'm going to show you the 7 chords that live inside of a major scale. And not just show you them like theoretically, but I'm going to show you how to make music with them right away. So let's jump into the lesson. Hey, I'm Daniel Seriff, and on this channel every week I'm sharing with you the things that I've learned over the last 15 years as a professional guitarist and teacher. And I'm sharing them with you, the intermediate guitarist, so that you can learn everything you need to know in order to improve. So if you're new to my channel, go ahead, click that subscribe button below and ring that bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. Alrighty, so in today's lesson, we're going to talk about the 7 chords that live in the major scale. And specifically, we're going to talk about the key of C major because most people are used to dealing with it, and it's the key that has no sharps and no flats in it. So a little bit of important knowledge that you should know coming into this lesson. You really need to know a little bit about major scales. I'm going to talk briefly about the construction of them, but I'm not going to go into detail. So if you're missing that information, make sure you go ahead and look back a couple videos. I talk about a lot of theory in some of my previous videos. So again, we're in the key of C major. We're gonna figure out the 7 chords that live in the key of C major or in the C major scale. Now also, it would be wise to know something about the cage system for later in the music examples. So just like all my videos recently, I'll have PDFs below, and you'll also get the backing track that you can play on that I create in this video. Down below, go ahead and click that and you can download it on my website. So again, you want to know a little bit about the major scale, and you might need to know some basic chord voicings like the open chords, and then also it'd be great if you're maybe familiar with a little bit of the cage system. So again, I'm going to assume that you know the C major scale, but I'll go through it quickly and we'll talk about the chords here that work inside of the C major scale that also will translate to any other major scale. So let's go ahead and jump in. The C major scale is built of 7 different notes, right? We start on C, and say if we wanted to play it on one string, we've got C, a whole step to D, a whole step to E, a half step to F, a whole step to G, a whole to A whole to B, and a half, we're back at C. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to 1. That's the major scales formula: whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That'll build you a major scale off of any note that you start on. But again, like I said earlier, we're using C major because it's the simplest with no sharps and flats. Okay, so the neat thing about the major scale is that with a major scale, what we can do is we can build a chord off of each of the notes of the scale. Now in this particular lesson, we're talking about triads only, okay? And we're gonna be talking about major triads, minor triads, and diminished triads. And I don't have enough time to go into the details of how exactly you build the triads, but I do that in lessons on my website, and I also do that, we'll do that in later videos, okay? But I'm gonna just tell you kind of the answer key for now. All right, so off of the first note of the scale, we can build a C major chord. All right, the second note of the scale is D. We're gonna do a minor. The third chord, E, is also a minor. Then we have F major. You can play the small one, you can play the big one. G major. A minor. B diminished. And back to C major. So again, I'll play through those. C, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C major. Okay, so here's something important to realize. You might hear when I play that B diminished chord, it sounds super dark, diminished, or maybe even demented. It sounds like very dark, right? That does not happen in our popular music. It's very rarely used. You would hear it in jazz and classical music and maybe some like kind of out there singer-songwriters, people like that. But generally in our popular music, it's not used very often. There's a substitute for it. We don't have time to talk about it in this lesson. I'll talk about it in future lessons. So for now, in this lesson, what we're gonna use are the chords C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor. We're gonna skip that B diminished and go back to C major. All right, so I'm sure that you've dealt with hundreds of songs that have chords like this in them, right? And so what I'm gonna do in this next part of the lesson, I'm gonna show you how simple it is once you understand the rules on how to actually be creative and make music out of this. Okay, so what I did was I just wrote the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on pieces of paper. Okay, because I want this song to sound like it's in C major, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna start on 1, okay? But I'm gonna go ahead, I wanna do a song that has 4 chords in it. We know many of the great songs in the history of the world have used 4 chords, right? Different variations of them. But we'll just do one progression that has 4 chords in it. And I wanna start on 1. Okay, so we got one of those chords out of the way. Now check this out. I'm gonna randomize these. I'm closing my eyes. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna show you how I can almost just play by numbers. What I do a lot of times when I'm working with my students in person, you know, or online Skype lessons, what I do is I'll just have them pick random numbers. So I'm kind of doing that with you right now. Let's figure out what the next chord is. Boom, I can't see it. 2, all right, we're gonna play 1, then 2. All right, randomizing the chords. Okay, let's see what we got. 6, 1, 2, 6, okay? All right, finally, the last chord. Now, of course, you know, if we were writing a progression, we could repeat one of the other chords, but we're not gonna do that. Let's use 4 different chords. All right, we got 1, 2, and 6 so far. Let's see, what do we have? 5. 1, 2, 6, 5. Let's think about this. Okay, so 1, clearly is gonna be C. Our second scale degree is 2, and like I said earlier, it's going to be a minor chord. That's a 2 minor. All right, so we have C, D minor. All right, the 6th chord is gonna be C, D, E, F, G, A, and I know that it's gonna be a minor chord. So we've got C major, D minor, A minor. I love it, that sounds so great. All right, and finally the 5 chord is gonna be C, D, E, F, G. Okay, and that's gonna be a major chord. And I just know that because I haven't memorized. You should write it down if you don't have it memorized yet. So far we've got C, D minor, A minor to G. Again, that was totally a random chord progression. Now, in the last part of the video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how simple it is once you know the chords that fit inside of a key, how to actually write a song and make a song out of it. Okay, the first thing that I decided to do, rhythm is very important for me. So what I did was I went through my library and I picked out a cool drum groove, and it sounds like this. Alrighty, so the second thing that we need to do here is we need to figure out how long we want each chord to last. And so this isn't a particularly fast drum groove, so I think that I decided that I want each chord to last 2 measures, right? So they'll last 8 beats total each. Let's see how that sounds, acoustic guitar and the drum groove together. Okay, let's go ahead here and we will add some bass. And I'm not gonna do anything complicated with the bass. I'm literally just gonna follow the bass notes of the chords, so I'll just be playing the roots of the chords, and it's just gonna lay a nice foundation. Let's check that out here. Okay, so then I decided that I wanted to lay a little bit of electric guitar. So I picked up my PRS. We're gonna lay a left electric guitar and a right electric guitar down. Let me show you how that sounds. All right, so here's how the right electric guitar is gonna sound, and I chose just a little bit different tone because I don't want it to get in the way of the other guitar. All right, and finally, not every song needs it, but you know, if you're trying to have a hit or whatever, you need a melody, right? So in this part, I decided to just kind of take a simple little solo over top with a cool tone, and all of a sudden, now we have a song, or at least a section of a song, a verse or a chorus, and it works great. You could sing over it, or you could play a solo over it, whatever you want to do. And so if you want to jam on this track, make sure you click that link below where you can download both the track and chord shapes for the chords that I played across the fretboard. I hope you'll dig it. Alright, so I just wanted to say thanks so much for checking out this lesson. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, go ahead, leave one below. And don't forget, you know, if you want to jam on this track, I've got a link right below where you can go to my site and you can download this track. No problem, it's there. And you can download PDFs of the chord shapes that I used as well, and also scale shapes too. So you can have a jam on this and have some fun. Alright. Thanks again, and if you're looking for some more help in kind of any of your guitar escapades, make sure you head over to www.danielseriff.com. Check out my courses there. I've got a bunch of stuff over there that's really happening, and again, I hope this was helpful. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.